Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thank you for joining me. I have Eric Lasky, institutional sales trader, RF Lafferty, on the show with me today representing Early Global News. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, pleasure, and I'm glad you're here. All right, now as an active user of EGN, Early Global News, trader, we're all ready to know what it does, how does it work, who's using it, and what the benefits are of using it relative to anything else that's out there, because I know this is a far superior product. But you tell our audience about this.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's a far superior product as well. Early Global News, to simplify it, is a newspaper, but it's the best newspaper in the world. It takes about 500 of my favorite newspapers from Moscow to China. We translate stories. We read deep into them. The best way I can really describe it is to take an example from today's piece. There was a story in Reuters this morning. I'm reading this. It was titled, "Moscow Exchange Announces Results of Indices." There's nothing in that title that indicates of any value for a trader or an investor. But if you opened the article and you had somebody read it, it talks about how Yandex, YNDX, a social media company focused on Moscow and Russia, was being added to a very important index. And subsequently, the stock opened quietly. Nobody saw it. Nobody knew the story. We obviously shared it with our EGN trader people, our subscribers, and anybody who wanted to see it because it's currently free. And the stock went straight up. And we do that all day. So if you think of us as a computer-generated, overly staffed entity that is reading everything on the planet and pulling all the goodness out of it, all the ideas that you could trade off of, that's what we have.
Brilliant. All right. Did you start out thinking there were only certain ideas that you were going to work with on broad or narrow spectrum, or how did this come about?
Originally, I'm an institutional sales trader. So for the last 2 decades or so, I have been advising very large hedge funds and very serious proprietary traders, day traders, you might say, across the spectrum. $18 billion funds, traders who take 100,000 share positions for 20 minutes. And in order to appease them and in order to get their business, you need to have value. And at the time in 2008 when we created it, it was a tough time in the market. It was the top. And knowing that the markets could come in and business would get more challenging, we thought, what could we do to bring more value to our clients? So a very large team and some sophisticated technology people who built some algorithms and some really cool software. We came together and we read everything, literally everything, hunting for ideas that most people wouldn't see. The services that institutions use it, professionals use it, from Benzinga to the trade exchange to fly on the wall, squawk boxes like Rand Squawk and Briefing Trader. They're all doing this. Yet they usually start 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock. What we do is we get up 2 in the morning. We start 10 o'clock the night before, whatever it may be. We read everything. And like the example I mentioned earlier, we're finding things that all professionals, billion-dollar hedge funds, analysts, traders, they haven't seen, simply because translating obscure Chinese newspapers, looking 20 papers to find one story. I'll read Women's Wear Daily through and through for 360 days a year to find one good story. So at the end of the day, we come up with a 25-page document. It's a PDF file. It's also a website that you can go to right now and confirm what I'm saying. But EGN, the main piece, and there are 2 pieces. One is EGN, which is Early Global News, and it's 25 pages long. It's every important, pertinent story that everyone's going to want to see, including things that they already see. But it's in one place. And then another tab there shows EGN Trader, where we pick 10, more or less, stories from that 25-page document that we believe are probably great trading opportunities. Now, like this Yandex story, it was possible it gotten out. Somebody saw it, and you pass. It's not an opportunity. The stock opens up 5%. So you don't want to play it. But if it opens up quiet, and you know the story's out there, and you invest in it for a trade or an investment, sooner or later that story is going to get out. And it happens 3 times a day, 5 times a day, consistently for 10 years. So it's really a great piece.
I agree with you. Let's get a little bit more description on the EGN trader. I got the EGN, but what about the trader?
Okay, so early global news is 25 pages. It takes us, 30, 40 man hours or people hours to create it. And within it is every important story. Yet, when we're done, prior to publishing, 7:30 in the morning, 2 hours before the market opens, we go back over it. We collaborate and we analyze it. We look at the sell side. Have they discussed it? Was it downgraded? It's a positive story. But if it was downgraded by JP Morgan, you really don't want to get invested in it. So we cross-reference everything that we have, everything that we know. We speak to people. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? And when all is said and done, we cherry pick. We choose whatever stories are actionable. Now, today, for example, there were 10 stories in there. And if you pull up earlyglobalnews.com, you'll see the tab for EGN Trader. And you'll see about 10 stories. And I'm pretty sure if you look at it objectively and you see the 10 stories based upon how they opened this morning, you probably would have traded half of them. And of the 5, I would say 5 worked. And if I'm wrong, 4 worked. And if that didn't happen, it probably happens 4 to 5 days to that consistency. So if you have that type of data, if you have a large team looking for these, now EGN Traders, 10 stories, but there happened to have been 2 or 3 stories in early global news that did not make it to EGN Trader, but they were still great trades, and we missed it. So the 2 pieces are primarily for different types of investors or traders. EGN Trader, they're trades. Long term, we can't speculate. But we're pretty comfortable with the idea that if you see the idea that the market forces, based on the content of the article, should create an opportunity for you to trade. And that's where we're comfortable. We do miss a lot of stories that are in early global news. So today, for example, there are 3 specific stories that are in this 25-page early global news that didn't make it to EGN Trader but should have. So as good as EGN Trader is, if you have the time or you have the capability or the staff, early global news is really a complete picture of the entire world in a 20-minute scan. You scan the headlines, and you probably would have seen things that you would have traded that didn't make it to EGN Trader. But EGN Trader, the prop traders who are looking to be in and out in the same day for the most part, that's who it's really for. If you're a $18 billion hedge fund and you want to trade, it's phenomenal for you as well. But because of my experience, I know that large hedge funds have staff. They also have scraping technology, proprietary scrapers, which will take early global news, this 25-page document, and it will scrape specifically what that particular hedge fund is looking for. So my experience with them is they want the document, they'll scrape it, they'll take what they want, and that's the end of the story. But we'll have hundreds of traders looking at these stories that we've cherry-picked, and because there are 100 of them, it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, regardless of the quality of the idea. So this particular idea that I keep on using is Yandex. It made a lot of sense. It was being added to a very elite Russian index. The stock went up significantly. On the same token, 100 people, 1,000 traders, they saw it. So they were investing in it. They were trading. They saw the logic of it. And because they got in it, it probably went up higher than it would have normally have done, or more quickly. Net, they're both for big hedge funds or small hedge funds. EGN Trader really is a spectacular piece for someone who's looking to capitalize on the best public news-based stories that they didn't have the time to look at.
I would call it a compelling must in your toolbox.
If you don't have it, I don't want to guarantee it. I'll virtually guarantee that you will see these stories, but you'll see them an hour after the market, 2 hours after the market. So, and you might even make money on it. it's so much better to have it before the market. So the setup is there. So when you hear it from somebody else, you say, yeah, I saw that at 8 o'clock. So we do that every day, literally every day.
I get it. Now, what's the most important aspect that's grown your business?
We have spread the word. We have shared it. In the trading world, people are sort of stingy. If you have a good idea, you don't share it with your competitors who are competing for those same shares. So it's been a challenge in regards to that, but we have worked with and brought this piece to social media entities like Fly on the Wall, Street Account, Benzinga. So these entities that we've built relationships with, we're sharing ideas with them all the time. And something I need to add, as an institutional sales trader, although this piece is distributed and published in the morning, an hour or two before the market opens, when that's over, I do the same thing through the course of the day. I'm looking at real-time ideas. My clients like to see, upgrades and downgrades and what the chatter is on the street and those types of things. If there's an article like there was today in the marijuana space, you want to be there at the moment. You don't want to be 5 seconds late, 10 seconds late. So we've built a lot of really good relationships, and we've been able to take early global news and EGN Trader and bring it to these entities. And they're not competing for the trades because they're not trading, but they share these same stories. And obviously they want to know where it's coming from, and they're grateful enough to do that for the relationship. So that's been the best thing that's grown our business, by sharing it with other entities in a similar space that have a subscription-based business model. And once they mention our name, all of a sudden you're talking to 5,000 people per service, 2,000 people per service. And once they mention EGN Trader, because it's free, they go to the website, they see it, and we've never lost a client. We've never had somebody who's seen early global news or EGN Trader for one day and not still using it today.
That's a great testimonial. What's next for you?
We'd like to, we see the TV, the bobbleheads. We have a huge respect for Jim Cramer. He's one of a kind. We think there's a little bit too much. Well, let's just say that we think that there's an opportunity to provide a lot more ideas. Hedge funds, for sure, day traders, without question, are looking for ideas. That's the first thing looking for. And although we think it's really easy, they seem to, want to see it all day long. And we'd like to take some type of media, maybe something like yourself, where you're able to communicate to a much larger audience, thousands, millions, whatever it may be. Take these same ideas, like Jim Cramer does. Jim might talk about a few ideas a day. They might sit around in a room and talk about, 4 or 5 stocks an hour. We're getting calls during the day, 3 or 4 times an hour, 5 times an hour, 10 times an hour sometimes. And we're hitting on opportunities that might not create, a 20-minute segment, but I'm sure that people out there, the millions that trade stocks or invest in the market, would love to see what we have, and we'd really like to bring it to that kind of medium.
Great. All right, Eric, thanks for being a guest on the show. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign up today?
Just want to thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We're going to see more of you, and I want to start rolling this out to the people that we know. You've got a great service, and like I said before, it is a compelling must in your toolbox if you're going to be actively trading. Not just technical, but you've got to, everybody knows, you've got to have the underlying fundamental, and you're the one that pulls that truth out that allows you to minimize the time, maximize the impact.
Exactly.
All right. All right. Thanks for watching CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Don't forget, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.